All right. Well, I think this is perfect timing that Mark is being interviewed this week because probably one of the greatest wins of the season so far. Team Mara, 143 over left side, 139. Before we talk to Mark here, I want to ask James this. What does it feel like to be on the losing side?
Well, not great. Didn't watch Monday Night Football. Had to take a day off. But, still feeling okay about it, after a day. It stung, though, for sure.
Mark, you had some amazing performances from C.D. Lamb and Jalen Warren.
Yeah, CD Lamb carried the day there. A little more let me down, but CD and Warren finally did some good.
Keenan Allen caught his second touchdown, and I was like, all right, I've got a chance now. And then maybe a minute later, CD Lamb caught his second touchdown, and then I was back to not feeling so great.
Yeah. Well, arguably the player of the week for Mark and Sarah was on the other team, Derrick Henry. 3 fantasy points. He's been letting you down, James. Not just this season, but previous seasons.
First round draft pick. The Tennessee offense is just not looking good this year. First and goal, and they go for an incomplete pass. Like, I don't know. Just got to give it to Henry there, but hopefully they figure it out.
Well, with me being a West Division foe of Mark and Sarah, yes, their win actually hurts my team because of the rankings and the logjam we're seeing over there as we head into the final 4 weeks of the season. But having said that, I just find this whole thing hilarious. It was just an amazing win.
Gosh, I'm glad you got a kick out of it, David.
Huge kick out of it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was watching Sunday Night Football, and I was like, man, the Raiders cannot give up a score because I lose.
Yep, I think it was on that last drive. If Zach Wilson throws for a touchdown, I think we get a tie pretty much.
Yeah, that would have happened. Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping for a tie, actually, because that was the only
3 points.
Yeah, and then he throws a pick, of course. Now I understand a little bit of what Jets fans go through.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about dropping the Raiders defense. I was like, no, they're playing the Jets. It'll be fine.
Projected for 8, they got 9. Yeah, you can't go wrong playing against the Jets, though.
Yeah, they got like 13 and then 16 the 2 weeks prior. So good time to pick them up.
Yeah, for sure. Solid play.
And the big thing here is that Mark and Sarah move into a record-wise tie at 4-6 with Chris and Bonnie and Rach and June. Did you expect this? I mean, Mark, this is probably one of the more unusual seasons, depending on the leagues that you've been in. But at 4-6, you're right where you need to be at this point.
Yeah, it's nice having the divisions because when things like this happen, you actually can still play for something. So it's hard though when you lose your first round pick and Chubb, and then Connor was hurt for 5-6 weeks. Finally came back this week, gave me 7 points.
Yeah, he'll probably be on the trend upwards. First definitely. Week back. Yeah, I'm sure. And then if Warren can keep it up, your running backs will be pretty solid.
Looking ahead at Mark and Sarah's final 4 opponents, we have a huge match this coming week against the Grind, one of the teams they're tied with at 4-6. So that I hate using the word monumental all the time, but this is monumental.
This is.
And then after that, Lisa, John and Noah. Oh, that's kind of lucky to get them. And then for the second time this season, Chuck and CJ to round out the end of the regular season.
That's a rough draw to get them twice in a year.
Yeah, that's not fun. No, I predict that you beating Chuck and CJ that week is what's going to solidify my first in the East.
Nice.
It's all about
Hi,
your
Sarah.
team, huh, James? Hey there, Sarah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be it. Like, we just need to win out and we'll be there. If Felix loses out, maybe we can catch. But I don't know. It's a big. I'm thinking we're gonna be second or third, maybe in that.
4 games is plenty of time for you to close that gap.
So, how are the kids tonight?
Millie's a dream as always, little angel. Just laying her down, she goes to sleep. Milo just finished slapping me in the face and asking me to leave. So
Kids are great.
It's fun to see
Great.
your
Joys
kids
of
growing up.
parenting.
mhm.
So, do you have to look forward to soon, James? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a couple years. Yeah, it's inevitable.
You know what? We usually ask deep questions on Tuesday night, and that was a deep question.
Mm-hmm.
There you
You heard it here first.
go.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of deep questions, is there? I'll ask both of you this, Mark and Sarah. Has playing in the fantasy football, leagues over the past few years, has that taught you anything in your overall lives as a whole?
I mean, compromise for sure, because there's, been a lot of times during the draft that I think Mark should pick some certain players before he does. We have a little disagreements about that sometimes, but I find
Such
that
as-
at least
such
in
as-
this instance, he's usually right.
Such as Tyler Lockett?
Yeah,
Yeah,
David
that's-
drafted and then traded.
I was surprised that I would say that he fell to me at
Yeah.
that particular round. And I was actually bookmarking him to be picked by you again in maybe a round or two earlier, to be quite honest.
Yep.
So.
I was too.
You mentioned you were going to be possibly drafting some, at least one Seahawks wide receiver. Are you still hoping to do that this season?
We are.
All right, you heard it here first.
Well, we got JSN. I think he's on the up.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I have to. There was a conversation that Mark, James, and me had prior to the start of the season, and it was I at one of the barbecues at the Innes family's house. And I think out of that conversation arose this show. And we were talking about how we're going to do the videos and how we're going to implement that this year, if we're going to do it, and if so, how we're going to do it. And I think one of the conversations actually led to all we got to do is just talk, and people will probably listen. So, thank you, Mark.
Thanks
A lot
for
of good
this
ideas there.
inspiration. Yeah, was
That's been
that?
some good conversations you guys have had.
We like to get deep on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So looking ahead here, and I know we're talking about real life as well. How are things looking towards for holidays for both of you? Mark, I know that you usually have to do some crazy hours for Black Friday.
Yeah, it'll be a busy time of year for sure.
Yeah.
I work at 3:00 on Black Friday. Should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, blessings to you there.
Should be a rough after that Seahawks game. It starts at 5:30
Oh, that's right.
on Thanksgiving.
A huge
You
game.
get an evening game and then 3 a.m. start.
Yeah, just stay awake the
Perfect.
whole time, Mark. It's fine. It'll be like we have a newborn again.
Yeah, I think I don't know if people watch that whole game.
Well, Mark and Sarah, you are still the reigning West Division champs until somebody takes it from you, and you're still within reach, depending on what
Mark's going to get
happens.
our prize.
Still got the belt.
There you go.
There it is. Yes.
You know,
Looking
Chuck and CJ still haven't picked up their belt yet. I think
They're
we're
just,
going to
waiting,
need
they're,
it.
they're just waiting to claim it for next year, I guess. Unless James can take it away.
Right. Yeah, it's looking good for them.
Yeah, I think James is going to have a very tough schedule ahead on his end. I mean, he's going to face a very formidable Woo team, for one thing, in the final week of the season. So
True.
I think your prospects there, I think at best, James, you probably get up to second place in the East.
Second, yeah. Only two games back from first.
Hey, you
I
never
think,
know.
David, you have really high in the points scored. You just have been really unlucky.
I think there was a period of about 5 to 6 weeks where my score was a bit low. So it's starting to pick up a little bit. I think it's going to be the bane of the Woo team that I don't have a very high TPF because I really honestly, even though I'm actually 1 game out of the third place slot in the West, I still probably need to win out in order to prevent what happens if there's a tie with you, Rach and June, Chris and Bonnie, or if Navs collapses with his team. So a lot is up in the air with a whole month left for sure. Yeah. But are you both having a good time though with this current season?
Yeah.
Other than Chubb, that's rough.
That was a rough one.
Yeah. I've been more along for the ride this time, just with the little baby, but
Oh, absolutely.
kind of like, so Mark's been running it more than anything else, but
Nice.
4-6, even though it doesn't seem like an ideal record. Congratulations for being in the thick of it. I think it's going to be an exciting rest of the season.
Should be fun. Should be interesting. It should be tight all the way through.
Hey, James, any other questions on your end?
No, just congrats on the big win this weekend. That was a fun one. I was
fun to watch.
glued to the TV all day.
Well, I'll tell you what, James has fallen in the East side to the point where he's now no longer in the top 3. And so that means that at this point, if the playoffs were to start today, he would be playing against Andrew in round 1. So there is a chance that James is going to be on, let's just say, our side of the bracket. So you two teams might face each other again in the playoffs here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking the wild cards are definitely coming from the East this year.
Looking like it, yeah. It is
I think
looking
so
like
too.
that. Yeah.
Unless something drastic happens, but
About a 2-game difference there.
Anything's possible. There's 4 weeks left.
Yeah. 4 big weeks.
good
It's
stuff.
the witching hour of the season.
Yeah.
It's like the Seahawks got 5 big games in a row.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, Sarah, your take on Geno Smith here. Do you think he's the one to be with for the rest of the season for the Seahawks quarterback?
Negatory. Get him out of there.
I don't know that Drew Lock's gonna do that much better. I don't know. I think we just ride it out and draft Penix. Let's go.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Actually, I don't see any reason why the Seahawks need to make a change at this point of the season. I would think that the only time they're going to make a change is if Geno gets injured or somehow the Seahawks are eliminated down the line. Then give Drew Lock a chance to start. But there's too much risk for the Seahawks to make a weird move like that at this point.
Probably true.
Unless he has another two giveaway game, there might be an exception.
Yeah.
He didn't seem really happy with that.
I've been trying to defend him as much as I can, but I don't trust him accuracy wise. I mean, he's good sometimes when he throws the ball to the other team very accurately. It's that's frustrating.
Well, it just seems at times like him and the receivers aren't running the same offense.
Mark and Sarah, you two continue to be an inspiration to me as a person, and I'm glad you're part of the family.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The first match we'll talk about is the one we just discussed, the aforementioned 143-139 nail biter. Team Mara over James over here. James, you fall to 6-4, fourth in the East.
Going forward, I mean, I'm feeling really good about my chances of making the playoffs, which is all that really matters. But my goal was to win the East, which is now getting to a win out and hope for the best kind of situation if I'm going to take the East. So
you're at the top of the wild card race right now. You're tied with Tanny for the record wise, but Omar and Jake are only half a game behind you. So it's gonna there's a log jam there for sure. So
yeah, I'm hoping to mix back into the upper tier, then get mixed in with the lower tier, but we'll see how the next 4 weeks play out.
All right, now here's a team that has won 5 games in a row. Lisa, with a 145-118 win over KBA, who have lost 3 games in a row. What's going on with KBA?
Yeah. I mean, before this week, they were scoring pretty low. This week, honestly, for them, 118 is pretty good. I think this week they just happened to be up against one of the few teams this in the league this week that could have beat them. But yeah, TEN, their running back for the Jaguars, hasn't been doing much lately. Yeah, they've just been kind of in a slump there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're still afloat here. They are still in the 3rd slot, even though they're tied with Mark and Sarah and Rach and June because of their TPF and all the points that they accumulated in those in that amazing first part of the season that they had. So it has come into play. Now, if we look at the TPFs of the other 2 teams that they're tied with record-wise in the West, Mark and Sarah have so first off, KBA, they have 1,257. Mark and Sarah have 1,203. Rach and June have 1,148. So the closest competitor, TPF wise, would be Mark and Sarah. So even though it's 54 points under them, with 4 weeks left, it's not exactly insurmountable.
Right. Yeah. Because that could come into a play for sure with the wild cards and everything.
Yeah.
But Lisa, I feel like would only be in a tiebreaker unless there's another tie in the next 4 weeks. She'd only be in a tiebreaker with Omar.
Which is probably true, assuming no more ties. Which I think there could be another tie down the pipeline.
Might be another. There was almost one this weekend.
Yep, there were almost a few. Yeah,
almost a few.
And one of those games we'll talk about right now, DC Universe, with a huge win, even though they're only 2-8, 106-104 over John and Noah. They are 2 games behind the West 3rd slot, with 4 weeks remaining in the regular season.
Yep. They don't have a red line across their across their team or their record on the graphic you made.
On the other side of the coin here, Middle Child with their 8th loss in a row.
Man.
Eliminated from playoff contention. The first team in the league this year for that to happen. On that sad note, John and Noah, it's you still have a lot to play for. You can try to beef up your team so you don't earn the last place Tucky award, and you still have a shot to be a part of Uncle Ray's Chowder Bowl in Week 17. So still a lot to play for here.
Yep.
You and I joked about how that match was the Clash of the Titans. Here is the real Clash of the Titans. Seattle Felix against Chuck and CJ, and Seattle Felix prevailing with a rousing 140-108 statement win. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 34 fantasy points, leading the way there.
Yep, Kittle got it going. I know you were talking last week. Is he going to go with Stroud or Jared Goff? And then he stuck with the Lions there, and it really paid off this week.
And it would have paid off either way. He could have flipped a coin, and he still would have done fine with C.J. Stroud at 25 fantasy points. But
True.
well, let's talk a little bit about his tight end though.
Mhm.
We already talked about Kittle. What do you think about Laporta? Do you trust him? I don't. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't, especially not if I had Kittle. And in this league, I feel like if you're flexing a tight end, you should just trade him and get, you can get a running back, and probably a wide receiver that, you can count on a little more in your flex.
And I think you nailed it right there. Not that we're trying to expound any advice here. We're just analyzing the team, but it just seems like there's a few more things that could be potentially done before the playoffs begin. And I might cut that last part out because maybe we shouldn't be voicing that and to
I know
broadcast.
he's about to get two
Yeah.
trade requests from Laporta for a wide receiver, one from me, one from you.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. And it's like he'll be wondering where did that come from?
Yeah.
Now, Nabs 136 over Omar and Jake 74. It improves Nabs to 6-4 and more separation between him and those lower tier West teams.
Yep, he put 2 games in between him and third place, so he's looking really good at this point.
And next week he faces Seattle Felix.
Really? Wow. Clash of the Titans.
That says it all right there.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Super Scrubs. Yeah, pretty rough week for Omar and Jake there.
Yep.
Starting to fall out of that Eastern wild card race there.
For sure. I think that they are also one of your biggest threats still at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an off week, 74 fantasy points. Well, just eyeballing their team here, there are definitely a few weak spots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah.
Floor is low.
When does Justin Jefferson get back here? What's the deal with that? Let's see.
I think it's week to week.
Yeah. That's kind of
yeah.
the key for Omar and Jake here, just to I don't think they're gonna really go far without Justin Jefferson because it just seems like he is the anchor for the team, and I think his absence is a big reason why they're not doing as well.
That was the first pick of the draft there, so
Yeah,
without that player, it's tough to keep going.
the grind, another loss here, 144-101 with a win by Tanny.
Wow, Tanny had a big week.
31 fantasy points from Mike Evans. The Tan Man moving up.
Yeah, moving on up.
Another close score here, and this was my match against Mike, 109-105. Underachievers over overachievers.
Woo! Well done, guys.
And I'm happy that you're happy, of course.
Yep.
I as for me, I mentioned this a little earlier. I wasn't really paying much attention to the game, and so when the final field goal was made yesterday and it was official, it was like okay, 109-105. Hey, cool win. No big deal. Yeah. Well, Chuck and CJ, Chuck gave me a call a few days ago and said that I can use the City Business team name anytime if I'm somehow able to beat Mike this past weekend. And lo and behold.
Yep. We have it on record. My takeaway for this week is that nobody is safe. Especially if you have less than 7 wins in our league, which most people do. I was feeling pretty good last week, and after my loss this week, I realized there's a decent amount of scenarios where I don't even make the playoffs or end up in a wild card. So, just got to stay vigilant. Trade deadline's coming up. When did you say it was?
Coming up on December 6th, which is a Wednesday at noon.
All right. Yeah. So got to keep that in mind as well. But
We will
yeah,
talk. We will talk
sounds
offline.
good. How about you guys?
So I have two takeaways. First off is one that's obvious. This coming week, we have 6 of the matches are divisional matches, but they're not just any divisional matches. I'll run down the list here. DC
Yeah.
Universe versus my team. Team Mara versus the Grind. So both teams are 4-6 and fighting for that third West playoff slot.
Yeah.
And also at
Big
the
game.
top of the West, Seattle Felix versus Nabs,
That'll be a good one.
which will
I'm
help.
going to be getting a lot of text from Nabil during that game.
They're both fighting for the belt, or the West belt for sure.
Yep.
And then on the east side, Middle Child versus Lisa. Now, Lisa on a 5-game winning streak. How about that, Lisa? You get to face the worst team in the league right now.
Yep. Could be a huge upset.
And then, no offense to John and Noah, by the way. Of course not.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then Mike versus Kenny in one of the Davenport Bloodline matches.
Yeah. I like that match because I don't mind either of them losing. So,
So just the mere fact that one of them is going to lose is a win in your book.
yeah, you got to appreciate the little things.
I like your thinking there. And what if they tie? That'll be interesting too.
Oh, man. Watch, they're going to tie.
Now, here's your chance to get some separation above the teams that won't mean the wild card. Your team versus Omar and Jake.
Yep. That's a big one there. I've definitely got to start winning.
I think this is hashtag kind of need this win.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I almost must win here.
And then the one non-divisional match, the one interdivisional match, however you want to call it, KBA versus Chuck and CJ.
Ooh.
Tough schedule for KBA. I mean, and this is one of those weeks. So golden opportunity for that Mara versus the Grind. Whoever gets that win, there's a good chance they'll be alone in the top 3. I mean, in the third slot.
There is. We'll see if KBA can get the win or not.
Huge game for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lisa is a force to be reckoned with 5 wins in a row and possibly a 6th win coming this week.
I mean, I didn't even consider the possibility, but I look at it today and Lisa's in the 3 spot and I'm in the 4 spot in the East. And I was just like, man, she is a force to be reckoned with.
And, her points total has picked up in the last several weeks here. It's the illustration of a team that is peaking at the right time, getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
So
we'll see if Dak Prescott will keep it up.
Yeah. So at this point, everything that has happened up to this point obviously is imprinted, but going forward and how your team performs now, what happened in the past is still the past. So, like you said at the outset, anything can happen here.
Anything can happen.